The Docker extension for VS Code adds support for authoring Docker files and for managing Docker. Here I've already installed the extension, so let's take a look at it in action. I'm going to switch over to this Docker file, and one feature this extension adds is that it adds support for IntelliSense in Dockerfiles. So if I go in here and I start typing, let's do arg for example, you can see that I get this IntelliSense that's helping me fill this in. It has some snippets that are useful here, so I could use arg foo, for example. If I hover over run or one of the other arguments, I can then go and see the information about it. So I can see commands for run and env here, getting nice IntelliSense there. So the Docker extension is helping me author my Docker files. Now, the other big feature that the Docker extension adds is it can actually help you manage your Docker instance itself and manage your containers. So I'm going to go over into the activity bar and switch to the Docker view here. If this view is not showing, so I'm going to switch to this, just right-clicking the activity bar and make sure that Docker is checked, and then you should see the little whale icon over there. Now, inside the Docker view, I actually get a list of all of my images, containers, and networks, so I can go in and manage my Docker instances here. You can see that in my containers, I have a few containers running and a few containers stopped. I have a list of all my images. I could have registries and networks in here, and I can also use these views to manage these as well besides just viewing them. So let's go up to containers because that's one you'll probably be using most often. So I'm going to right-click on this Rust container here and say start. So I'm going to start up this container. You can see that it is spawning the container down there, and now this container has started. And once we've actually started a container, we can now actually go and manage it. So we could do things like, let's go attach a shell to it. So you don't have to remember all of the Docker syntax for doing this, and now I have my nice shell here. And I can even attach VS Code itself to this. So I could go in and say attach VS Code, and this will go set up a remote server into this container. So it's going in installing extensions here, and now, sure enough, I am in this remote container with my VS Code instance here. I could go in and open files and open folders, but I've just attached my VS Code instance to this Docker container using the Docker extension. There are a bunch of other management commands for containers, images, and all of these other things, but that's a quick look at what the Docker extension provides. It's really useful if you're writing Docker files or if you just want to manage your Docker instance without having to remember all of the complex command line arguments.